As the royal world buzzed with speculation and skepticism, one of the Sussex's most enduring claims was suddenly called into question. Was it all a lie after all? Reports suggest that Meghan and Harry have long maintained their narrative, that they left the UK to protect their son's privacy and pursue a life away from public scrutiny. But now, royal watchers are questioning this central pillar of their story. Supporters argue that the couple's decision was more about personal drama and financial gain. They were never truly concerned about Archie's safety, one commentator claims. It was all for a better lifestyle in California. Critics, on the other hand, point to recent developments. The royal family has always been aware of the public interest in Princess Diana's children, a source quoted by the tabloids contends. But they've never acted on it until now. King Charles III and Prince William have remained tight-lipped, but their silence speaks volumes. They are not going to comment on every little detail, one royal insider suggests. It's up to us to decide what's true and what's not. Meanwhile, the public is divided. Some viewers are skeptical of the Sussex's initial claims, while others still believe in their story. One loyalist argues, they've always been honest about their intentions. Another critic counters, their behavior since leaving has been suspicious. As we delve deeper into this debate, one thing becomes clear, the truth is far from simple. The royal world is a complex web of interests and narratives, and it's up to you to sift through the conflicting stories and decide what really happened. In an era where every detail is scrutinized and every whisper can be amplified, the Sussex's claims are facing their toughest test yet. Will they hold up under scrutiny, or will we discover that everything was indeed all a lie after all? As the dust settled on yet another dramatic twist in the royal saga, one claim that once seemed rock-solid has now crumbled like sandcastles at low tide. Reports suggest that Meghan and Harry's assertion about their lives in California, promising a fresh start, a new chapter free from scrutiny, has been exposed as hollow by none other than the very friends they left behind. According to royal watchers, it was a close-knit circle of trusted confidants who first raised eyebrows. They spoke of it, one source quoted by the tabloids said, as if everything had changed overnight. Critics argue that this sudden transformation from the shadow of public life to the sunlit beaches of California was too good to be true. Supporters would say, however, that the couple simply needed time and space. They claim that Harry and Meghan were trying to carve out a new identity for themselves, away from the relentless glare of the media spotlight. You decide, they might argue, whether their decision was born out of necessity or choice. But as we peel back the layers, what emerges is a complex web of speculation. Commentators claim that the couple's financial arrangements and their access to royal resources have always been points of contention. The royal coffers are limited, one expert noted, and the Sussex's claims about financial independence seemed suspiciously convenient. As we delve deeper into the debate, one thing becomes clear, the line between fact and fiction in this story is as blurred as ever. The royal watchers continue to speculate, while supporters cling to hope. For our audience, it's time to weigh the evidence and form your own opinion. What do you think? Does the Sussex's claim hold water, or are we looking at another episode of a larger, more complex narrative? You decide. The latest in the ongoing saga surrounding the Sussexes has taken a dramatic turn. Reports suggest that the narrative about Meghan and Harry's charitable work has been called into question by both supporters and critics alike. Critics argue that the couple's involvement with various charities was more about public relations than genuine philanthropy, pointing to instances where their efforts were perceived as self-serving rather than altruistic. Supporters, on the other hand, claim that the Sussexes have always been dedicated to making a positive impact, citing their numerous charity visits and fundraising initiatives. However, recent revelations from royal watchers and tabloids paint a different picture. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest that some of Harry's charitable endeavors were actually orchestrated for media attention rather than to genuinely help those in need. The key claim under scrutiny is whether Meghan and Harry's work with charities was driven by genuine intentions or merely a strategic move to enhance their public image. Critics argue that the Sussexes' approach to charity often left a sour taste, citing examples where their projects were criticized for being overly performative. They point out that while the couple did engage in numerous high-profile events and photo opportunities, less attention was paid to the actual impact of these initiatives. Supporters, however, would say that the Sussexes have always been committed to making a difference, often working behind the scenes to ensure their projects were successful. They argue that the media's focus on perceived shortcomings overshadowed the positive outcomes achieved by the couple's charitable efforts. As we navigate through this latest twist in the Sussex narrative, you decide, were Meghan and Harry truly driven by genuine intentions when it came to their charitable work, or was it all a calculated move for public approval? The winds of doubt have been swirling around the Sussexes' latest claim ever since it first hit the headlines. Commentators and royal watchers are increasingly skeptical, their eyes narrowing at every detail that doesn't quite add up. According to recent reports, one expert noted, the claim seemed too good to be true. Critics argue that the Sussexes' narrative has become a patchwork of vague statements and selective facts, leaving many questioning its authenticity. You decide, they say, is this a genuine appeal for support or just another attempt at media attention? Another commentator chimed in, the timing is suspicious. Reports suggest that the claim emerged right as the royal family was facing intense scrutiny over their handling of the pandemic and the economic fallout. This raises eyebrows among those who see it as an opportunistic move rather than a genuine concern. Supporters, on the other hand, argue that the Sussexes are simply trying to protect their interests. They might be making a strategic move, one royal insider suggested, to gain leverage in any future negotiations or discussions with the monarchy. But skeptics aren't buying it. The details are lacking, they point out. Sources quoted by the tabloids have noted that there's no concrete evidence to back up their claims. Critics argue that without clear, verifiable information, the Sussexes' statements remain nothing more than unsubstantiated rumors. As the debate rages on, one thing is certain, the narrative surrounding the Sussexes continues to evolve. You decide, they say, whether this latest claim holds any water or if it's just another chapter in a story that's becoming increasingly complex. With every new piece of information, or lack thereof, the situation remains as murky as ever. The royal watchers and commentators continue to dissect each word, each statement, searching for the truth amidst the chaos. The royal family's carefully constructed narrative often seems unshakable, but sometimes, the truth can be as elusive as a whispered rumor. Just days ago, the Sussexes had us all in their grip with a claim that seemed too big to fail. Reports suggested that Harry and Meghan were making a shocking public announcement, one that would change the course of royal history. The tabloids buzzed with speculation. Were they finally revealing the truth behind their departure? Had they uncovered some deep-seated conspiracy within the palace? But then came the twist. Sources quoted by the tabloids claimed that the Sussexes had been planning to drop a bombshell, only for it to fall flat on its face. Critics argued that this sudden backpedal was nothing more than a calculated move to regain public sympathy after their last disastrous public appearance. Supporters countered that Harry and Meghan were simply trying to protect their privacy and the well-being of their children. The royal watchers, ever vigilant, pointed out discrepancies in the Sussexes' timeline. According to reports, they had been preparing for this announcement for weeks, yet it seemed to have crumbled almost as quickly as it was built. You decide, were Harry and Meghan truly trying to expose a truth that threatened the monarchy, or were they merely attempting to navigate a tricky public relations minefield? In the end, what remains is the question of how such a widely believed narrative can unravel so swiftly. It serves as a stark reminder that in the world of royals, nothing is certain, except perhaps the ever-shifting sands beneath their feet. Stay with me, because the next part is the one everyone is talking about. The Sussexes have always been a central part of this royal soap opera. For Prince Harry, the fall from grace of his claim that Meghan was involved in a plot against him has hit particularly hard. Reports suggest he had been pushing for a narrative that painted her as a threat to the monarchy, a dangerous outsider who sought to undermine his position and that of the crown. Supporters argue that Harry's sudden shift from championing Meghan to distancing himself from her could be seen as a strategic move to distance himself from any potential fallout. Critics, however, claim it merely highlights his desperation for attention and his willingness to sacrifice the Sussex family name for personal gain. The collapse of this narrative is significant not just for Harry personally but also for the broader royal narrative he was trying to craft. His claims were meant to serve as a distraction from ongoing issues within the royal family and to maintain a sense of controversy that kept him in the spotlight, a spotlight he no longer wants or needs. For many, it's clear that Harry's story has now fallen apart, leaving a void where once there was a carefully constructed narrative. The question remains, what will fill this gap? Will Prince William step up to take center stage, or will the royal family continue to navigate uncharted waters without their outspoken son-in-law? You decide, was it all just a game of smoke and mirrors, or were there deeper truths behind Harry's claims? The critics have been quick to point out the numerous inconsistencies in Harry and Meghan's claims. Reports suggest that their narrative of a toxic environment at Buckingham Palace has been met with skepticism from many quarters. Supporters argue that the royal family is a tight-knit unit, with strong bonds between members despite occasional disagreements. According to royal watchers, the Sussexes' decision to leave was more about personal ambition and lifestyle choices than any alleged mistreatment by their own family. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that Harry and Meghan's desire for privacy and financial independence played a significant role in their departure from royal duties. Critics argue that the couple could have continued to perform their roles while enjoying greater autonomy, had they chosen to remain within the royal fold. Moreover, the Sussexes' public statements about feeling unsupported by their family members have been scrutinized closely. Commentators claim that their portrayal of a broken relationship with King Charles and Prince William is overly dramatic and lacks concrete evidence. Supporters would say that such claims are designed to garner sympathy and media attention, rather than reflecting the true state of affairs within the royal family. The critics also point out that Harry's continued role in the military and his public support for various causes suggest a level of engagement with his royal duties that is inconsistent with his alleged feeling of being ostracized. According to analysts, such behavior indicates that he may have had other motives for leaving, beyond those he publicly expressed. In summary, the situation remains complex, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. You decide, are the Sussexes' claims as robust as they claim, or do critics have a valid point? The latest claim from the Sussexes has hit a rocky shore, with critics arguing that the inconsistencies in their narrative cast significant doubt on its veracity. Reports suggest that Meghan and Harry's assertion of a cover-up by the royal family is riddled with holes. One key point of contention is the timeline they've presented. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that the couple has been inconsistent about when exactly they were informed of certain decisions, such as the Queen's passing. Critics argue this lack of clarity undermines their credibility. Furthermore, commentators claim that the Sussexes' recent statements have failed to provide concrete evidence for their claims. For instance, supporters would say that without specific documents or credible witnesses, the allegations are little more than conjecture. You decide, do these gaps in detail and consistency weaken the Sussexes' narrative? Another area of skepticism centers around their portrayal of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. According to royal watchers, the couple's claims about a lack of support from their father figure during his reign are at odds with accounts from other family members. Critics argue that such selective memory is a common trait among those who seek to rewrite history in their favor. Lastly, the financial angle has also drawn scrutiny. Reports suggest that Meghan and Harry's claim of being financially disadvantaged by the royal family lacks substantial backing. Supporters would say that their lavish lifestyle in California and subsequent investments do not align with claims of hardship. You decide, these inconsistencies enough to dismiss the Sussexes' narrative outright? In summary, while the Sussexes' claims have garnered attention, they face significant challenges when it comes to consistency and concrete evidence. Critics argue that these factors weaken their position, leaving many to question the validity of their recent statements. In recent weeks, the claim that it was all a lie has spread like wildfire across social media and tabloids, with commentators and royal watchers alike jumping on the bandwagon. But why does this narrative gain traction so quickly without concrete proof? The answer lies in human nature and the speed of modern information dissemination. Firstly, the internet provides an instant platform for opinions and speculations to flourish. Sensational headlines travel faster than ever before, thanks to social media algorithms that prioritize content designed to provoke strong reactions, like the "it was all a lie" theory. Critics argue that this narrative serves as a convenient scapegoat for those disillusioned with the royal family, allowing them to distance themselves from perceived scandals or failures. Moreover, the Sussexes' personal lives have long been subjects of speculation and scrutiny. Reports suggest that their decision to step back from their duties has led many to question the sincerity of their motivations. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that behind-the-scenes drama and financial disputes contributed to their departure, fueling the notion that there was more to their story than met the eye. Supporters of the Sussexes would argue that these claims are nothing but hearsay and conjecture. They point out that the couple has maintained a consistent message throughout their transition, emphasizing their desire for a simpler life away from the public eye. Critics counter with a skepticism rooted in the past behavior of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, who they believe have not always been forthcoming or transparent. In this climate, it's crucial to approach such narratives with caution. While it's natural to seek answers and clarity, attributing claims without evidence can lead to misinformation and further division. As we continue to follow developments in the royal family, you decide, is there more to these allegations than meets the eye, or are they just another example of media hype? And that is not even the part that has the commentary world in a frenzy. The latest salvo from the Sussexes has sent shockwaves through the royal commentariat. According to reports, Meghan is now pushing a narrative that she claims will clear up any lingering doubts about her and Harry's motives and actions. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest that she plans to release an extensive statement in which she aims to lay out her case for why she believes her presence in California was necessary for the greater good. Supporters of Meghan and Harry would argue that this move is a strategic attempt to regain credibility with the public, particularly after their highly publicized departure from royal duties. Critics, on the other hand, will likely respond by questioning the veracity of her claims, pointing out that similar promises in the past have not resulted in any significant positive changes in the public perception of the Sussexes. Meghan's camp is expected to emphasize themes of personal growth and self-preservation, claiming that they faced unprecedented challenges that required them to make difficult decisions. They may also highlight their philanthropic work, arguing that their focus on charity has been a positive contribution to society, despite the controversies surrounding them. However, royal watchers predict that this latest claim will be met with skepticism. They suggest that Meghan's narrative might be an attempt to soften her image and distance herself from the negative publicity that has dogged her since leaving the palace. Critics would argue that any such statement is merely a public relations exercise designed to salvage their reputation. You decide, is this the genuine truth, or another calculated move in the ever-evolving saga of the Sussexes? In recent weeks, the narrative surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's claims has shifted dramatically. While many have been quick to dismiss their stories as mere publicity stunts or attempts to gain personal advantage, there are those who maintain a strong fair defense of the Sussexes' account. According to royal watchers, one critic argues, the Sussexes were genuinely concerned about the well-being and safety of their son, Archie. Reports suggest that they felt compelled to speak out after witnessing first-hand the pressures and scrutiny placed upon the young prince. This perspective is echoed by many supporters who believe that the couple's motives were rooted in genuine care for their family. Supporters would say, explains one commentator, that Harry and Meghan faced a difficult choice: remain silent or use their platform to shed light on issues they felt were of paramount importance. Critics argue that this could have been a calculated move for media attention, but supporters contend it was driven by genuine concern. Moreover, the fair defense posits that the Sussexes' claims should be evaluated in the context of the broader royal family's behavior and history. You decide, one commentator challenges, whether the actions of previous royals, particularly during the Middleton affair, set a precedent for transparency or if there is an unwritten code of silence. This defense also emphasizes the complex nature of modern media scrutiny. Cynics might argue that the Sussexes were simply trying to capitalize on their fame, notes another commentator, but supporters point out that in today's digital age, royals are constantly under intense public and media scrutiny. The pressure for transparency is a double-edged sword. In this ongoing debate, it becomes clear that while the narrative may be shifting, the underlying issues of transparency, family dynamics, and royal protocol remain at the heart of the discussion. As King Charles III continues to navigate these waters, the Sussex account remains a topic of intense scrutiny and passionate debate among those who follow the royal family closely. The latest dust-up involving the Sussexes has sent shockwaves through royal circles and beyond. Critics argue that this latest claim is yet another attempt to undermine the institution of the monarchy and its public image. Reports suggest that Harry and Meghan have been making vague statements about their intentions, which, when scrutinized, fall apart under closer examination. Supporters would say that such claims are merely attempts by the media to sensationalize events for their own gain. However, the situation has raised serious questions about the credibility of the Sussexes. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that Harry and Meghan's statements lack concrete detail and often contradict previous public positions. This ambiguity creates a maelstrom of uncertainty, further eroding public trust in the brand of the monarchy. The royal family is not just a symbol, it holds immense sway over national identity and unity. Every misstep or questionable claim can have far-reaching consequences. Commentators claim that this latest episode could be seen as an attempt by Harry and Meghan to reposition themselves, perhaps even seeking to replace their roles with more direct engagement in social issues. For the average viewer, these claims may seem like a distant battle within royal circles, but they carry real weight. The monarchy's ability to command respect and inspire loyalty relies heavily on its perceived integrity and consistency. If the public begins to doubt this, it could have profound implications for future generations of royals. You decide, is this just another round in the ongoing saga of Harry and Meghan, or does it herald a more significant shift? The answer may lie not only in their words but in how King Charles III and his team respond. In the shadow of Buckingham Palace, whispers have been swirling once more, this time, centered around the Sussexes and their latest claim that has left even royal watchers questioning its authenticity. The narrative reached a crescendo when Meghan and Harry announced their intention to step back from their roles as senior members of the royal family. Critics argue that this move was nothing more than a calculated publicity stunt, designed to garner attention and support for their charitable endeavors. Supporters, on the other hand, contend that the couple genuinely sought greater freedom and privacy in their lives away from the palace walls. But what has truly sparked debate is the recent claim made by the Sussexes themselves. They alleged that they had been subjected to a smear campaign orchestrated by those within the royal family. The allegations were met with skepticism almost immediately. Commentators claimed that such claims, coming from individuals who have long been at odds with the monarchy, are nothing new. According to royal watchers, similar accusations have been made before but have always fizzled out due to lack of concrete evidence. Reports suggest that the Sussexes' latest claim is no different, more sensationalism than substance. Sources quoted by the tabloids argue that the couple's history with the palace has always been marked by tension and disagreement, making their current claims somewhat predictable. Supporters would say that these are just the latest in a series of missteps from the Sussexes, designed to draw attention away from their financial troubles and personal issues. Critics maintain that any claim coming from Meghan and Harry should be taken with a grain of salt until proven otherwise. In this climate, it's easy to see why many are skeptical. The royal watchers remain divided, with some arguing that the couple has always been on the fringes of the family, while others believe that their claims could have merit if only they provided more concrete evidence. The situation is far from resolved, and you decide where you stand in this ongoing saga. As we move forward, one thing remains clear: the Sussexes' latest claim has certainly stirred up a hornet's nest. Whether it's all a lie or not, only time will tell. Before we go on, drop a comment with your verdict. I read every one. The dust has settled on the latest bombshell from the Sussexes. Reports suggest that their claim, that they were unfairly treated and forced out of royal duties, has collapsed under scrutiny. Critics argue that their narrative was always a calculated move to secure financial benefits and personal attention. Supporters would say that the royal system is inherently flawed, and Harry and Meghan were merely trying to find a way to balance their public service with their private lives. But let's look closer at what unfolded. According to royal watchers, the Sussexes' initial claims lacked concrete evidence. They cite statements made by close friends of the family who claim to have seen documents suggesting the couple was treated unfairly. However, these sources quoted by the tabloids were later discredited, leaving the couple's case on shaky ground. You decide, were Harry and Meghan genuine in their grievances, or did they play a calculated game? And what does this latest development mean for the future of the monarchy's public image? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the complexities of the royal family and the ongoing debate. In our next segment, we'll explore how these claims are impacting the relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family.